Hello, and welcome to another divergence into Pokemon Talk. So, with 3 new starter Pokemon now in the mix, the preview for Generation 9 Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I thought I'd do another video that I was thinking about doing for a while, which is talking about the design concepts of the starter Pokemon in existence, which ones I like and which ones I'm mad about. So the year was 1998. I was in kindergarten. A kid brought some toys in for show and tell. She said they were from a show called Pokemon. It sounded like a superhero thing, you know, Batman, Superman, Pokemon. But one of those Pokemon really caught my attention. It just had this perfect light blue color, the color of a swimming pool, contrasted against a soft yellow and an acorn brown with a pearly white shell line. Little Squirtle here struck me as just the perfect design. So what's fascinating about Squirtle is that it's familiar. You know, it's a turtle, but it's also not a turtle. So it has the weird squirrel-like tail thing. It has a circular head rather than, you know, the standard turtle shape. It has big eyes. It stands on its hind legs. In short, it's a unique design. It's both familiar and it's its own stand on its own creation. The first 3 starter Pokemon have a unique temperament to them. And their primary forms, they occupy a perfect middle ground on the spectrum between cuddly and cute and tough and cool. And it's not even that they're halfway between, it's that they are simultaneously both. Take Bulbasaur, for instance. Now, in my opinion, Bulbasaur is a bit less appealing to look at than Squirtle on its own. But it does get an A+ for originality because it really is its own creature. I know the consensus has recently moved towards seeing Bulbasaur as a frog, but, you know, given the feet with the nails and the ears and the English name, it's always struck me as vaguely dinosaurian. Charmander, meanwhile, he's endearing. I like the use of the softer orange instead of a direct fiery red, and I also like the touch of the green in his eyes, but I guess he's the least unique of all 3. But the point is, with Charmander's fire, Squirtle's little smirk, and Bulbasaur's small toughness, they all, again, occupy this unique place halfway between and a perfect mix of cute and relatable and cool and tough. The Generation 2 starters, I would argue, are a more perfect combination than Generation 1 starters. All 3 have that simultaneous cute and tough energy. So firstly, we have Chikorita, which I like because of the starters. It's the first to be kind of female-coded. I remember being really annoyed as a kid when some girls told me, we don't like Pokemon, it's for boys. Well, if Pokemon is for boys, Chikorita became one of our first strong female role models. Cyndaquill, meanwhile, combines those vulnerable closed eyes and the cute nose with a fiery spikes, and Totodile, with its small but in-your-face posture, really strikes me as Squirtle 2.0. Unfortunately, after Gen 2, we get to Gen 3. Now, you'll notice Gen 3 is the first time in the anime that none of the starters stayed in their first form. They all evolved, or in the case of Mudkip, partially evolved. It's also the first time Ash only had one of the 3 starters. And maybe it's me projecting here, but it's kind of like the writers of the anime said, we're not actually as enamored with these starters this time. Do we really have to make them the main characters of our show every series? So part of the design problem of these starters is that they are skinny and small. They kind of barely register on the eye. Treecko might have the nicest design of them all, but he's also the first grass starter to not be some truly imaginative creature in the way that, you know, Bulbasaur and Chikorita just look like their own things. They're not quite like any real animal. No, Treecko is just a green gecko. Torchic, meanwhile, by being a chick, doesn't have some of the more fun visual features you could get if referencing an adult chicken. And Mudkip, well, I don't like Mudkips. Now, part of it is just that axolotls were not an animal that I knew about as a kid, and maybe in the pre-Mudkip world that was pretty common across North America. Perhaps I would have liked Mudkip and certainly Swampert more if I did know of its source animal. But regardless, there was already a Pokemon in Wooper that was already sort of based on an axolotl. So not only does Mudkip have the problem of not having any sort of source familiarity whatsoever, it also just looks like a reboot of Wooper. And, you know, I wasn't that excited about Wooper to begin with, and Mudkip didn't come with the pizzazz of the cool turtle or the feisty crocodile. Pokemon redeemed itself with Generation 4. Of those three Pokemon, Turtwig is my favorite. Like Bulbasaur and frogs, Turtwig may technically be a turtle, but with all its different pieces, it really looks like an imaginary creature. And again, its dopey eyes mixed with its snapper turtle jaw gives it that great middle ground between cute and tough. Chimchar plays nicely between natural monkey orange fur and fire colors. It's a bit underdone, but it's a nice setup for its very nicely designed evolved forms of Monferno and Infernape. Piplup may just be a penguin, but penguins themselves fit that cute, cool spectrum pretty well, and I like the use of the two blues to create an icy feel. I also really like Gen 5 starters. Again, they nailed it with the grass design. By making Snivvy a snake, but with hands and feet, they were again just kind of creating an original creature. Tepig is just the second mammal to get a starter, but pigs with their unique skin tone and lack of hair aren't really like other mammals. They don't have that straightforward teddy bear cuteness. So I like how the unusual pink color of pigs and their sleek texture translated into this fiery orange body. Oshawott starts to lean a bit too much towards the cute side for me with its very teddy bear face. I am a fan of the middle form, Duwat. I think it catches the balance a bit better. The one thing I don't understand is why the F it evolves into sea lions. Sea otters, sea lions, completely different creatures. But Generation 6 is where Pokemon really starts to lose me. So Chespin is my favorite of the three Generation 6 starters. I mean, I think its attitude fits the cool, cute spectrum well, but having it be a brown furry mammal is a bit of a weird choice because we're used to brown furry mammals being those boring, underwhelming Pokemon you catch early in your journey, but not your starters. And if your starter is just another Route 1 mammal, to me, that's kind of disappointing. Fennekin also looks a bit like an ordinary early journey mammal Pokemon. Also, I get that Fennec foxes are a cool looking animal in their own right, but we've already had a fox Pokemon and we've already had a fire type fox Pokemon. So I look at Fennekin and like, we already have Vulpix. There's nothing too exciting about getting to start with you. Finally, Froakie also has a bit of an uphill battle in being impressive because there have been plenty of frog-based designs before it. Granted, that sleek, realistic frog shape of his middle form, Frogadier, that ends up being kind of cool and distinct and really pops off the page. But then Greninja, the final form, I know it's really popular, kind of ruins it for me because it has no discernible facial features and it has that bizarre thing where its tongue is wrapped around its neck. Generation 7, I have the same kind of problems I do with Generation 6. So I look at Rowlett, and just as Chespin looks like a Route 1 mammal, Rowlett just looks like a Route 1 bird. It's a less exciting version of the Hoot Hoot design, though granted, I do think Decidueye has a nice color scheme and is a cool design for the final form. Litten, again, just seems like another ordinary mammalian Pokemon that's not exciting enough to be a starter. What really drives me crazy with all these cat designs is the very first cat Pokemon, Meowth, was just perfect. So just as I said how Squirtle both is and isn't a turtle, Meowth was that and even more to cats. Consider the round face, the weird non-realistic way in which they draw the whiskers, the proportions of the body, the curled tail, the little coin on his head. Meowth was a way of taking a cat and making it something else. And every cat design since then has just been sort of like a stuffed cat design. At the same time, I do have a soft spot for Litten because I watched some of the Generation 7 anime around the time two real cats came into my life, and the fact that they have Litten be a street cat and the fact that it actually meows and doesn't just say its name in that stupid way the anime decided, that kind of endeared me to Litten, so it gets a few points for that. Finally, we get Popplio. Popplio has the most inspired design of the Generation 7 starters. But again, I look at it and say, we already have Seal. We already have Spheal. How am I supposed to be excited about this new Popplio? And on the one hand, Popplio is a more sophisticated design than those two. But of course, that's because it's the product of better technology and more years of creature creation. And anytime I see a Pokemon where it's just, they said, let's take a design we had before and make it more precise, more realistic, better. You know, on the one hand, I can appreciate the niceness of that design, but the fact that it's simply an improvement on something earlier and doesn't feel truly like an entity of its own, that kind of takes the pizzazz out of it. Generation 8 gives us a monkey, a rabbit, and I'm not going to talk about that last thing. So the grass-type monkey, Grookey, he's nice to look at least. Rillaboom, his final form, adds a distinct presence to the Pokemon universe. With Scorbunny, I don't like its name because score and bunny don't go well together. It doesn't create any sort of pun, and I'm not a big fan of that weird bridge-shaped thing on its nose. It also looks uncomfortable. That said, of the Generation 8 starters, the one that annoys me the most is Sobble. I look at this, and this is Mudkip all over again, but worse. It's like they didn't have an idea for a water creature to work with, so they just put some blue blobs on the page and said, it's blue, it's water, and said, okay, it's vaguely lizard or salamander shaped. Sure, that'll pass for a water creature. I do like they gave it some personality by making it the sobbing Pokemon, but I feel like the anime kind of robbed it of that personality by having it be one of the starters that evolves rather than, really celebrating that personality and making it a permanent feature of the story. And now we have our new Pokemon, the Generation 9 starters that were released a few days ago. We have Sprigatito, the grass type, another cat. Fuecoco, the fire type, maybe a crocodile, maybe more of a dinosaur. We'll see what the other two forms are. And finally, Quaxly, the duck. So Sprigatito, its eyes are endearing. It kind of reminds me of Chikorita. And I feel like the grass cat idea is at least a bit more natural than the fire cat idea, because I guess it can have grassy whiskers. Quaxly, I really liked the design. It might actually be my favorite. If I go on to play these games, it may be the one I choose, but I also can't deny that it is frustratingly familiar. As many fans have been quick to point out, it looks a bit too much like Donald Duck. And it's kind of like, if you like Donald Duck, I guess you'll pick the Donald Duck ripoff. Pokemon has had a great history with creating duck characters. Of course, Psyduck is one of the most beloved characters from the TV show. Farfetch'd, not really represented well in the early days of the TV show, but it has this defiant underdog personality as one of the few Pokemon that's known to be hunted for food. And then you have Ducklet with its cute rubber duck feel, and I like the fact that it recreates the story of the ugly duckling by evolving into Swanna. And as someone who kind of likes Ducklet, I'm kind of sad that my poor boy is now going to be overshadowed by a very similar design in Quaxly that just gets the privilege of being a starter. Fuecoco is the first one on this list where I don't know yet if I like the design, but I at least respect it. I guess the thing that's off-putting to me is that it doesn't really have a face. The white kind of looks like a face mask, but it looks like this is the first time in a while where, for a starter, they've really tried to create an original creature. It's not straightforwardly a crocodile. It's not straightforwardly a dinosaur. It's not straightforwardly anything. So, are the days of great starter Pokemon over? Pokemon is a juggernaut that feels compelled, I guess for money reasons, to go on forever and ever with numerous new characters every few years. So who am I to blame these designers that they can't create characters as original as they were in the first couple of generations? At the same time, it kind of looked to me that the flame was gone as early as Generation 3, but then the team learned some of the lessons from that and created more lovable, more memorable starters for Generation 4. They realized that the stick-thin designs weren't good, and they brought back big pop-off-the-page faces for Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup. So maybe I'll just have to accept that, there's only so many broad categories of animal in the world, and there are going to be more Sprigatitos, Grookeys, and Popplios going forward because they have to, you can't completely create something of nothing. But hopefully the days of drawing starters that look completely like Route 1 mammals, sorry, I'm looking at you, Chespin and Rowlett, are over. And hopefully Quaxly will be the last time that something looks too derivative of a kind of cartoon character we've seen many times before, and Fuecoco is a sign of the creativity yet to come. So let me know what your favorite starter designs, what you think of the trend of the franchise has been. Have they lost their sense of imagination, or I just a crusty old Gen 1 and 2er who can't appreciate the beauty of Gen 6 to 9? Let me know in the comments, and so hope to see you with another fun commentary video soon.